So Miss Diana Grain is actually the committee, part of the committee. Okay. And then, okay, Mr. Muhammad, you say that you're not a presenter, so it's not necessary to try the microphone. And then who else? Miss Nenden, can you try your microphone and also the video?
Halo.
Halo?
Oke.
Iya, Bu Nenden, bagus Bu, sudah. Great, great. And also the last, Mr. Rido Takwa, maybe you can try also check your microphone and also your video.
Okay, very good.
All right.
Good. Yeah.
Yes.
Please.
And also please turn on your video. Let's see that it works or not. Okay, and then now try to Mr. Nopriyadi Saputra. Can you have a try? You're not mute. You're still mute your microphone. Mr. Nopriyadi, you still mute your microphone.
Okay. Hello.
All right. Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
I see. It's the effect of your background because you put your Zoom background. Your face is not that clear.
Clear. Okay. I change the background. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's move to the next presenter. We see here that just came. Miss Afitarini. You already, right? I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it's better like that, Mr. Nopriyadi.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's better like that. Okay. Okay, the last one, I think, Miss Avitarini, I think we haven't tried with yours, right? Can we try to check your microphone and also your video? I still no response from Miss Avitarini. All right. So we actually still have one more presenter. Committee, shall we start now?
Okay. And start now.
Yeah, should we?
Okay.
All right. So wait a minute. All right. Good afternoon, honorable participant and also the presenter. So we welcome you to the parallel session, the P6, with the topic of population, economic development, and future mobility. I'm here. I'm Novi Paramita Dewi. I'm from Department of Public Policy and Management, Faculty of Social and Political Science, Universitas Gadjah Mada. I will present as the moderator for today's session. I'm very delighted, despite some restraints, that we can meet here with the Zoom meeting and still see many participants and also presenters from all over the world that join together in this very respectful science community, for sure. And before we start, so I will just remind some of the rule and regulation that we use in today's parallel session. The first one that every presenter will be given like 15 to 20 minutes, and will be set. But I will be set as the timekeeper to remind you for your session that everyone will have their time, like 15 to 20 minutes each, and then we will have around 30 minutes for the Q&A in the end of the discussion. But for every participant or even the presenter that you won't have to ask, or if you have a question or something, you can just type on the chat section of the Zoom meeting, and so that I will just read it, and if it's like a lot, I will just pick some of them just to meet up the time left for the 30 minutes of the Q&A. But if it's like not a lot of questions, I mean, so it will be, I will just put it on the Q&A in the end, so everyone can have a chance to ask a question to the respective presenter. So I think we can start now, but before of that, I will just introduce the today's presenter. So basically, we have 5 paper today to discuss, very interesting topics for sure. So the first one in the in the population, economic development, and future mobility topics, we have Miss Brenda, Mr. Raji, and Miss Anissa Maharani from the Universitas Negeri Semarang. They will deliver the topics of, they will deliver their paper with the title Thematic Village as a Way to Empower Society, a study case from Kampung Jawi, Semarang. And then their second presenter will be Mr. Nopriyadi Saputra, Miss Vivi Koirul Fitria Hayat, and also Miss Ifit Novitasari from the Universitas Bina Nusantara. They will deliver the paper with the topics of Indonesia educators during COVID-19 crisis, the impact of physical, mental, and financial health on personal resilience. And the third presenters, Ms. Nenden Budiarti, Ms. Sutiasti Sumitro, and Mr. Raden Muhammad Purna Gunawan, and one more, Mr. Bayu Karisma from the Universitas Pajajaran. They will talk about the labor force participation of individuals aged 15 years and over in Indonesia. And then we have Mr. Anielo Iannone. Do I pronounce correctly? Can you help? From the University of San Marino, Italy. He will present the economic problem in Indonesia during the COVID-19, the poverty situation. And the last presenter is Mr. Hai Seung Hu. He's from Chiang Mai University, and he will talk about heterogeneity of trade environment and the impact of floating exchange rate system on export enterprise. So without further ado, I will just welcome the first presenter, Miss Brenda Agustin, Mr. Rajivuddin, and Miss Anissa Maharani with the title Thematic Village as a Way to Empower Society, a study case from Kampung Jawi Semarang. So time is yours, please.
Okay. Thanks for the time.
Hi. You can share your screen, right?
Oh, yes. Okay, wait.
Take your time.
Thank you. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brenda Priscilla Nur Agustin. I'm from Universitas Negeri Semarang, and I would like to present our regarding with the thematic village as a way to empower society, study cast from Kampung Jawi Semarang. Thematic Village is one of the programs created by the Semarang City's government with the aim of improving the community's economy. One of the thematic village in Semarang is Kampung Jawi. And why we choose Kampung Jawi? Because Kampung Jawi, there are elements of Javanese culture that have a positive impact on Javanese culture, which is almost extinct. Kampung Jawi, which is administratively located in the area 1 Sukorejo village, Gunung Pati district, Semarang City. Next, another slide, that is literature review. In this research, we use 4 theories such as thematic village, public policy, and the implementation of public policy, public participations, and community empowerment. For the explanation, you can see it is my PowerPoint. And the next two method. It is our research. We use descriptive research with a quantitative approach. For example, totaling 1,024 inhabitants and 10% error. And the next, go to the result. According to Semarang City's government, thematic village program has several impacts and advantages. They are carrying out and improving of environmental facilities and infrastructure, increasing the local economy, which has an impact on community, supporting the characteristic of the village to be an icon of the village community, turning it into a reference for other village to establish thematic village, and then increasing new tourist destination based on local potential. Okay, there are the table. From the table, we can see that the implementation common thematic program can be given positive impact, especially in economic and environmental indicators. And also from the table above, it can be seen that road restoration as access for tourists is carried out well. The restoration of the route, including the lighting of Kampung Jawi and its routes. For the example, there is repair or maintenance of the drainage system, which is good, but there is no waste management. And from the diagram, from the regional district, there were 2 livelihoods in the Kampung Jawi. The majority of people livelihoods are business owners, and in addition, some people work as artists and home industry. In Kampung Jawi are balanced by participating in other trainings organized by Kampung Jawi managers. Next, go to the table 2. From the table show that community in Kampung Jawi have a high participation, both from physical development such as community service or following workshops. And the diagram show that there are 2 workshops followed by community in Kampung Jawi, such as art workshop, traditional food making workshop, and then herbal medicine workshops. Okay, next. The implementation of thematic village program. From the table and diagram that I have mentioned before, the community considers that the role of the government is still not optimal in the development of Kampung Jawi, because this role is more optimist for the development management of Kampung Jawi. However, in terms of participations, the community is very enthusiastic in building and developing Kampung Jawi by participating in workshops, and from economic standpoint, it can also increasing the income of the community in Kampung Jawi. And next, so from the presentation I mentioned it before, it can be concluded that the Kampung Jawi program greatly increased income and environmental maintenance in the Kampung Jawi community. It needs to be improved again in terms of the role of the government so that the Kampung Jawi program still be developed and be more advanced. And then I think that's be end my presentations. I apologize for all mistakes I have made during presentations, and I return the rest of the time to moderator. Thank you.
Mute, Miss Novi.
Yes. Thank you so much, Miss Brenda. Because I'm mute before, so maybe
Okay.
you cannot hear me.
Oh,
Yeah. Thank you so much for your presentation.
okay.
This is very
Yeah.
very important topic. So actually, there's many of economic development is actually rooted on the bottom level, right? So it is very important since we sometimes talking about development and it's actually sometimes relate a lot about like something that more macro, right? But this is something like
Yes.
more micro level. So
Yeah.
I think this is a very good topic to start our today's discussion. So let's
Okay,
continue
thank you.
to the next. Yeah. So let's continue to the next presenter. We have Mr. Nopriyadi Saputra, Miss Vivi Koirul Fitria Hayat, and also Miss Ivit Novitasari from Universitas Bina Nusantara. So here we have Mr. Nopriyadi who will present for us, right? He will carry the topic about Indonesia educators during COVID-19 crisis, the impact of physical, mental, and financial health on personal resilience. So I think this is also very important and interesting topic. So let's welcome him and take the floor, please. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, moderators, and all speakers and participants. This time, I'm Nopriyadi Saputra from Universitas Bina Nusantara. I'm going to present the paper with the title, The Indonesian Educator During COVID-19 Crisis, Impact of Physical, Mental, and Financial Health on the Personal Resilience. This paper is based on our collaborative research from 3 universities. I am Nopriyadi from Universitas Bina Nusantara in Jakarta, and 2 universities in Jawa Timur, Universitas NU Surabaya, Mrs. Vivi Koirul Fitria, and Universitas Islam Malang, Mr. Hayat and Mrs. Ivit. Okay, the COVID-19 as the biological disaster with most deliver spreading economic suffering worldwide. The virus may be as contagious and economically as medically. Resilience is an imperative for every scope of social system, individual, relationships, and community to face the economic crisis in the COVID-19 safely. In the complex and uncertainty time, resilience of teachers or educator is a critical for sustained effectiveness and growth. During COVID-19 time, student mental health is significantly effective when faced with the public health emergency, and they require attention, help, and support of the society, family, and educators. Based on this argument, this article try to elaborate the personal resilience of the educator, with main teacher, lecturer, corporate trainer, and facilitator in community, and find out its influencing factors. This article try to answer the main research question: does health of educator in physical, mental, and financial aspect impact or contribute to the personal resilience? Okay, the literature we use, personal resilience is defined as the individual characteristic or ability to utilize interactive individual and environmental forces and collective capability in dealing with the crisis or stressful situation. This article uses Gardner-Davidson resilience scale for measuring personal resilience, which is reflected into two dimensions: toughness factors and motivation factors. The physical health is defined as personal physical condition without physical illness symptom such as sleep disturbance, headache, gastrointestinal problem, or respiratory infection. In this article, physical health is measured by the physical health questionnaire. Mental health is defined as by the World Health Organization, a state of well-being in which individual realize his or her own ability, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively, fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. Mental health in this paper is measured by positive mental health scale. And finally, the financial health is perceived as one, ability to manage expenses, prepare for and recover from financial shock, have minimal debt, and ability to build wealth, underline all facets of life living, such as securing food and paying for housing. On this paper, we use a clone with a financial health scale. This article is based on exploratory quantitative research by using PLS SEM, structural equation model, and we use a second order type for the research model. Data was collected by online questionnaire from 14 April until 1st May. The sampling method we use combined between the companion and snowballing approach. And this article is based on the collaborative study between Universitas Bina Nusantara in Jakarta and the University in Jawa Timur. This study involved about the 648 educators as a respondent. They are teachers from all education level, lecturer in the university, facilitator in community, and corporate trainers. Most of them are female, aged below 46 years old, hold bachelor and master degree, served as educator more than 10 years, and the respondents predominantly in Surabaya and Eastern Java, Jakarta and Western Java, and outside Java. Okay, data analysis. Based on this problem, we have a model. The model has a 4 variable. Personal resilience is the objective of our research, and the physical health, mental health, and financial health is the influential factor which impacts the personal resilience. We use auto loading, composite reliability, average variance extracted score for the validity and reliability. From the attribute item we use in this research, its variable is defined into dimension, and its dimension is defined into item or indicators. And auto loading is more than 0.6. So the model has the item indicators is valid. If the score lower than 0.6, we exclude it from the model. For example, in the motivation, we have several indicators, but only two indicator is included. Four indicator is excluded because the outer loading score is lower than 0.6. And for the validity variable, we use Fred variant extracted. The standard is more than 0.5. This research find that all the variable is not valid because the score are lowest than 0.5. But the dimension is valid because the score is more than 0.5. For the reliability, we use the composite reliability. All the indicators show that the composite reliability score are more than 0.7. So the variable and its the dimension are reliable for our hypothesis testing. According to the measurement study, we have that in table 2, all variable, personal resilience, physical health, mental health, and financial health, and its dimension has a PET coefficient and T statistic and P value. The statistic is more than 1096. And P statistic is lower than 0.005. So the relationship between the variable and its dimension is significant. So this model, second order model of the research is okay. And then for the hypothesis testing, we have 6 hypotheses here. And 2 is rejected because the P value of the statistic is below than 1.96 and the P value is more than 0.05. So we rejected. The result is for hypothesis is accepted and 2 hypotheses are rejected. The model here, we can see that the personal resilience here is influenced by 2 factors, influential factors, influenced by mental health and influenced by financial health, but not significantly influenced by physical health. And financial health influence other 3 healths, other 3 kind of health, influence physical health and influence mental health. Based on this result, that the financial health impact directly and indirectly of the personal resilience and the result. For improving personal resilience of the educator in Indonesia, the government should provide program which leverage the mental health of the educators. Mental health is dealing with subjective conclusion about the existing condition in life, well-being, and life satisfaction. Perception about the personal ability to overcome unwanted situation, self-expectation, and ability to relieve external pressure effectively, coping stress. The higher mental health, the higher personal resilience. Mental health can be leveraged by improving the financial health. Financial health is a combination of financial satisfaction, financial behavior, and financial objective. Educator who is financially healthy feel satisfied with their financial status, using financial resources purposefully and for securing the financial objective. The resilience of educator is critical pillar for sustaining the society during the post-COVID-19 time. Government may intervene to improve the personal resilience of educators by providing programs with impact on developing mental and financial health. Physical health does not impact on personal resilience. Financial health will impact the personal resilience better when it's aligned with the improvement of mental resilience. The resilience of educators is a critical pillar for sustaining the society during the post-COVID-19 time. For future research, this article recommends the researcher to use the first order, not second order, because the second order, we see that the all variable is not valid, but the dimension is valid. So we suggest to use first order model, which involve more than 650 respondents. For measuring and testing the model, the researcher recommend to use another scale rather than CR-RIS, PSQ, PMH, and FHS. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you.
Nopriyadi, for your
You're welcome.
presentation. So from your paper, is actually we can see clearly the significantly about when we talk about the economic, we will not just only talking about the well-being, but also the subjective well-being. Sometimes we're talking about the well-being, so actually it's talking about like more utility, something that we learn about how to have a good financial security and so on. So, but in fact, with the mental health, which is actually a subjective well-being, is actually will align the financial health will be more fruitful. So we cannot neglect that if you don't have a good mental health, you can enjoy your financial security better, right?
If you don't have financial health, you can enjoy the mental health too, and physical health.
True. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Nopriyadi. It's very nice presentation. So let's continue to the third presenter. We have here Miss Nenden Budiarti, Miss Sutiasti Sumitro, Mr. Raden Muhammad Purnagunawan, and also Mr. Bayu Karisma from Universitas Padjadjaran. The topic is the labor force participation of individuals aged 15 years and over in Indonesia. So Miss Nenden, please, we welcome you for your presentation. So time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Nenden Budiarti. I'm a doctoral student in Faculty of Economic and Business, Universitas Padjadjaran Bandung, Indonesia. Today, I would like to present the research about the labor force participation of individuals aged 50 years and over in Indonesia. Everyone, according to Department of Economic and Social Affairs Population Division, Indonesia's elderly population in 2015 was 21.19 million, or rank 8 in the global elderly population. In 2030, the elderly population is projected to rise to 38.96 million. Then in 2050, is projected to continue increasing to 61.9 million. Dealing with old age, a person will experience setbacks in various ways, both physically and psychologically. However, the National Labor Force Survey in 2019 shows the percentage of the elderly population who work as much as 49.39%. That means many elderly people still participate in the labor force and want to remain productive in filling their old age in meeting their daily needs. Various studies have revealed the determinations of labor force participation among the elderly. Pevrold et al. Found that married men were more likely to remain in the labor force than were single. Then the labor force participation is higher and equal for people who have a higher education than high school, don't have pension coverage, have high incomes in recent years, and have a long history of labor force attachment. Gilfillian and Andrews revealed that matured women have the potential to enter the labor force, but they encounter problematic obstacles. Giles et al. Found that location of residence and sex affect workers in deciding to stop working. They found huge greater gender differences in urban areas than rural areas when quitting a job. And also health status and labor supply in rural areas have a strong relationship. Matt and Schultz in 2007 examined the effect of health condition on labor force participation and found that the implementation of the national health insurance in 1995 for the cost of elderly health care increased and reduced the incentives for the elderly to work and receive available health insurance. In line with those review studies, this research aimed to examine the effect of demographic and socioeconomic characteristics on the probability of an aging population, which is defined as individuals aged 50 years and over to enter the labor force in Indonesia. Here is the materials and with methods we use in this research. We use data EFL's Web 5, which is conducted in 2014 to 2015. Then samples all the individuals aged 50 years and over and had information on the ability to perform daily activities and participated in the labor force or not at the time of the enumeration, which was 50,456 respondents. And we use the profit model as the estimation method. Here is the model specification. Where labor as dummy variable that indicates someone enters the labor force if equal to 1 and 0 doesn't enter the labor force. X household characteristics, namely rural. Z socioeconomic characteristic include non-PCA and unemployment merit. V individual characteristic include age square, female, married, health, adult, deaf child, the Japanese, living alone, ADL cuts, and insurance. And E refers to error term. Here is the result. We found that married had rural, ethnicity, and ADL cuts as health variables, which is observed through the cuts index based on activity daily living, significantly affecting the labor force participation of individual age 50 years and over positively. The positive directions shows that the variables increase the probability of labor force participation. The result in merit variable confirms the research by Weberhold that marital status determine a person to be in the labor force compared to being single. The research conducted by Adhikari confirms that individuals who are heads of household are likely to continue working in old age in this research. And then location of residence significantly affects the labor force participation of individuals aged 50 years and over, both in total and in sample male and female. This is expected due to employment in rural areas is relatively simple and doesn't require skill and a high level of education. The same findings are also found in Giles et al. Meanwhile, Adhikari revealed different findings in their study. Ethnicity, we use Japanese as the reference, significantly affects the labor force participation of individuals aged 50 years and over, both in total sample and in men or male sample at the level of significance of 10%. The result in ADL cuts or health variables is in line with research conducted by Hung, Matt, and Schultz, also Jill Pillion. The declining health conditions are the reason for a person who doesn't participate in the labor force, especially for individuals who are elderly. Next, age adult education. Then insurance, loan PCE, and unemployment rate significantly affecting the labor force participation of individuals aged 50 years and over negatively. The negative direction shows that the variable decrease the probability of labor force participation. The research conducted by Knox, Met and Saltz, Jill William, and Andrews, also Gilles et al., confirms that the addition of age will decrease the labor force participation. Then in education variables, in total, the educational variables indicate the negative effect on the labor force participation of the elderly population at various levels of education. Only at the junior and senior high school education significantly decreases the opportunity for individuals aged 50 years and over to enter the labor force. The higher education level equivalent to university significantly increases the chances of labor force participation in females. Meanwhile, a higher education level of males reduces the opportunities for labor force participation. This level of education especially affected women since it can increase their competitiveness and bargaining power in the labor force or in the labor market. Similar findings found from Dugan about the effect of education variable based on gender, in which education had a negative relationship and a significant effect on the elderly male labor force participation rate. Meanwhile, the relationship of education variables of the elderly female population on the labor force participation is positive with a significant effect. Meanwhile, Gilles et al. Show different findings. They reveal the positive effect of educational variables on the labor force participation of the elderly population, which is represented through the years of schooling. Also, Ling and Fernandez, where the educational variable positively affects the labor force participation, but statistically insignificant. From the economic side, land PCE significantly affect the labor force participation in a negative directions in the total sample and in women or female. As for men, here, despite having a negative variation, but the effect of rising consumption is not significant in determining the labor force participation at that age. Similar to land PCE, unemployment rate shows the significant effect on the labor force participation of individuals aged 50 years and over in a negative direction. But different results from Met and Saltz in which the population, the unemployment rate doesn't affect the labor force participation of the elderly, both in men and women. From this result, we found that only deaf child and living alone variables do not significantly affect the labor force participation of individuals aged 50 years and over, both in total and by gender. Similar findings in living alone from Adhikari. They use living with children approach and its effect on the labor force participation. The variables indicate that the elderly who do not live with the children tend to be a part of the labor force. From those results above, we have conclusion that demographic characteristics have an important role for individuals aged 50 years and over to enter the labor force. Two, the results show that existence of dependent children in household and individuals aged 50 years and over who live alone didn't significantly influence or affect the labor force of individuals aged 50 years and over. And three, the socioeconomic characteristics, namely per capita expenditure and unemployment rate, affect the opportunity for individuals aged 50 years and over to enter the labor force significantly. This research shows that there are still a lot of elderly people who participate in the labor force. So here are the recommendation according to the result. It's necessary to think about the employment and types of work that's suitable for the condition of old age workers. Social security is needed to support and help the living needs of elderly people, especially those who work in informal sectors. Then the younger generation needs to prepare themselves to face old age, to set up the old age population in the future through various efforts. Regarding health, the government needs to continue to improve the facilities and infrastructure of health services so that the elderly can live more actively and productively. Also, government have to improve health insurance through the Social Security Administrator for Health, or we know as BPJS Kesehatan. Regarding to education, the elderly need to be encouraged to continue learning. The learning process is not only studying in the classroom, but lifelong learning. And the elderly need to be equipped with vocational training so that they can face old age more actively and productively. Okay, everyone, that's all the result will be conducted. Thank you for your attention. Here is the references we use in the studies. See you on the next occasion, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Nenden, for your presentation. It's a very important topic as well, since Indonesia also actually have so many elder people now. Actually, there's a question for you in the chat box related to your study, but we can do this on the Q&A session for the concern for answering your question. So I will just want to remind all the other presenters that already present as well that the question is not necessarily for you to answer now in the chat box, since we will have another Q&A session to address the question. So do not be worried and be hurried to address the answer there. Something that very interesting on Ms. Nenden and the others college paper and study is related about the result that actually unemployment rate on the age over the 15 years old is not really is negatively significant with the labor force participation. This is something that interesting, I think. So I think it's actually also negative is actually opposite result with the previous study, if I'm not mistaken, for your explanation. So I think this is something new finding, I think, in your study. All right. So let's continue for the fourth presenter. So we already have 3 presenter. And then now we move to Mr. Aniello Iannone. If I'm not mistaken to pronounce your name, so I hope you will be corrected me if you.
No, it's okay.
If I made
mistake.
So yeah, he's from University of San Marino. So I saw your paper that I saw your paper that you actually also studied Indonesian language, right?
Yeah.
So you
Actually, I used to live in Indonesia for 2 years.
Oh, really? Oh, wow, that's nice. So you speak Bahasa?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Great.
Jadi,
So
kalau ada masalah bisa.
bagus. So your paper is about the economic problem in Indonesia during the COVID-19, the poverty situation. I read your abstract. You will talk about the pure Nobel Prize winner Esther Duflo, Kramer, and also Banerjee.
Yeah, I try to take some idea from the Esther Duflo, the Bandaraj. Maybe I can explain in the topic because I actually in the topic I explain about an overview of history and just in the conclusion how the situation now because it's already fresh. It's now mature. You can start.
All right. So
I
we
can
cannot.
share my.
Sure, sure. So without further ado, please take your time.
Okay. Can you see?
Still black screen now. I think it's still on progress. Yeah, it's okay now.
Oh,
Can start.
Okay. 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 Today I start to talk about the power situation in Indonesia, but I started to overview of economy until the 2020. This is one picture I took in Bali from my trip in December and was sorry. Okay, and maybe we come back now. Okay. Indonesia is the fourth most populous country in the world. 2,000 million people live in Indonesia. According to the World Bank, Indonesia they have the status of upper middle class, upper middle income country, the first in the region in the status. The economy and the politics grow fast, especially during the last decades after the economy contraction by the financial crisis in 1997-1998. This is like compare Indonesia grew with Japan, Korea, India, and China. You can see after the first Jokowi term, Indonesia grew, but until now it's like the growth is a little slowed down. It's not really faster like Jokowi plan. Jokowi started a process, a hard and soft approach to the economy. The approach is focused on both infrastructure, especially with agreement project like China, the Belt and Road Initiative. This means notable that Jokowi have the China has the problem which the Chinese debit trap. It is like more country now in Southeast Asia have. But the problem is they need their own infrastructure because the infrastructure is very important for the development of Indonesia. The soft approach is focused on the education system. The Jokowi plan 2050 was the Rencana Pembangunan Jangka Menengah, the middle term for promoting the economy development when the government started to 400 million for support the economy development. Jokowi supposed to the economy was to grow 8% per year, but we know the economy until now is a growth just 5% for year in GDP percent. And actually in 2019 is a slowdown in 2 points. The particular investment will focus on energy, road, port, airway, clean water, and sanitary. This is very important because compared to the developed country, Indonesia, like every developed country, have that like I would say they have no strong infrastructure. Look, Singapore have is also very small, but have a very good infrastructure. Or Kuala Lumpur, Indonesia, in the Jokowi plans, want invest 100% of road for growth in the economy. The mentioned infrastructure was in Legacy City, road, port, green. This is actually the until last year, and we can see the recovery from 2020 before the COVID was to grow again 1 point after the slowdown the 2019, but we know the COVID has changed the trend. This is the compared trend to 2019, 2020, compared with the data from 19 and the start of the health economy shock, economy slowed down before the COVID-19 in the country. This is because the government have not like spend enough enough budget for the consultants according to the World Bank. In fact, they slowed down in the third semester. Okay, the meaning of poverty. Okay. Poverty is a collective sense of necessity, food, shelter, medical necessity based on the share of human dignity, where is a sense on inequality. This is one of the first meaning of poverty by Valentine 68. But according to Sen, to actually Sen, Prime Nobel for economy, what is necessary for one person is not unfortunately unnecessary for others. This means, for example, if you took a child, maybe the child is born from a poor family, so she or he don't have a good nutrition, so she can or he cannot grow up better, and maybe she cannot become a good actor, and maybe she cannot win a scholarship, and maybe she cannot become a doctor and find a cure for some illness. And this is in practice what Sam say. Wherever the economic object by Bachelor is the poverty line. This means the poverty can really like $1 for day. Then if below $1 you are extreme in the line poverty, and until $2 you are still poor, but in up to the extreme line. In Indonesia, wherever the people live in extreme poverty is very little. A brief history of the poverty in Indonesia for 6 years was one of the poorest country in Asia. This was because of the end of the colonial rule and exploitation. After the authoritarian rule by Suharto, there was a huge a huge growth and economy growth, and poverty also was really a huge reduction. This is because Suharto started an economy focused on microeconomy and the restructure of the system of rice production and oil. During the SBA, the democracy was the first economic flux, but also the first economic shock, the first poverty shock. This means until 1998, it was the first. It was the financial crisis, and the second was in 2005, the second poverty shock. After SBA, it was the Jokowi term. There was a lower record of poor in history of the country, plus the development on the infrastructure. In 2009, the first financial deficit signs this 2001 in the second semester. Today it's become the middle-income country, but there are the COVID situation and the high economic crisis, because this is not just economy, but high crisis. This is one graphic for display almost the trend of the poor. The economy is blue, and the red is the situation. Let's see how it's go the GDP, and during the financial crisis fall, and also economy growth. Also, the poor growth. During the new order in Indonesia, as I said, a huge growth, I would say. The GPA grew on average by 7 and 4 each year. In 1998, Indonesia income reached like $1,804 million, according to development in the one forecast 26. De facto was huge. This huge growth was in the expansion on the education, the family plan for and health, transition of cost less in the micro state and the micro sector, construction of road and infrastructure, basic level to compare today, micro management. plus compare executive exchange rate. For Indonesia before the health crisis, Indonesia have experienced before the COVID-19 about the contraction of the poverty. The first was the one during the financial crisis and end of the regime, and the second is 25-26. This was also the consequence of increase the fuel price and the rice, according with the World Bank. After the 70 until the financial crisis is considered the most poor growth period of economic history in Indonesia. Some point for explain. This is just the poverty trend, and you can see how it rose in the financial crisis and how it's more or less come back to the normal level before the financial crisis. This is another tablet for the move to northern class sector to urban areas. This is how it's changed from 18 to 2002. Some points the agricultural transformation from low to high production. The rapid growth changed the household income to not agricultural activities. The shift from rural and urban-based activity, the source of income from rural to rural to urban activities. This is one point important because the problem in Indonesia of poverty is the concentration of the gap between rural and urban population. Long term, this is have effect to the reduction of poverty in Indonesia, according to Muklo, Timer, and Wenstrow. Okay. 2005 and 6 of you, according to the forecast by the World Bank, poverty has a 3 standard focus in Indonesia. This is about the second shock poverty. The large number of Indonesia are vulnerable to poverty. Non-income poverty is more serious to that income poverty. This means the multi-dimension of the poverty. The larger this part for the poverty are considerable. I mean, the poverty in Indonesia have it can be different if you are in Java, on Sulawesi, or in Bali, for example. This is explain difference between poor and near poor was little. I mean, the Indonesia, I would say the people live the picture below $1 per day is very is like this my 2%, but the people is near to become poor. Had the health of the population in Indonesia. Just me, 126 million people in the situation that can become middle class. I mean, in the situation where they are good income, or become poor, and because the COVID-19 they become poor now. 14.2% in the $1 per day. One problem was the income distribution. Wherever the extreme poor in Indonesia is relatively low, near poor Indonesia context is wholly above national poverty line. Why there was a poverty rose from 2005 and 6? Because there was slowdown economic growth to 2.6 in 2004 to 2.2 in 2005. This has concentrated almost 4 million people fell in poverty during this period. Also because the price of the price of rice rose up dramatically, like 30%. This is like 25% of consumption basic for the poor. Of the full price rose. The economy has decreased. In 2018, the poverty rate reached another record low, like almost 10%. The 10% was a record for Indonesia. This is because stable economic growth and strong market condition and relative low inflation. In 2008, it was 9.8%. In number, like 25 million to 21 to 20.1 million. This I mean like 10, almost 10 million people go keluar from the status of poor situation. Poverty gap fell from 1.7 to 1.6, and in this period, I would say 150 million people is like AMG. I mean, among become middle class. They are not middle class, but they can become middle class or can fall in poverty status. It is the half of the country. Another 9% is poor. So, I mean, the people are really middle class is the minority in Indonesia. 29.1% remain poor, and they have most vulnerable in case of economic shock. The gap between rural and urban areas is still important. For this graphic for explain. This is before the economy, the COVID. So I take this estimated by the SMA Research Institute. They calculate the economy shock or shock in 2005 and try to make a prognosis for 2020. They say the COVID-19 had the decline of economic activities, or because also the lockdown, the kind of economic growth, the kind of event house this distribution impact of household lifestyle, poverty incident. I think yes. This is the biggest crisis in Asia after the Asian financial crisis. 5.5 to 18 million Indonesians can fall into poverty in the end of 2020. The decline in household income between 5 and 7% was for the family who have a lower income, especially for city like Yogyakarta, for example. Jakarta has probably is almost the income is from tourists like Bali, you know. So if they and from the university, because it's like tourism university from lockdown. I mean, if the people move from Georgia, come back in the in Kampung Mereka, they don't make the mechanism from the economy, so they don't paid for the cost, and they don't pay for the food. So the people live in Yogyakarta because they become poor, because the student move, come back, because it's not necessary stay in the course if you can study online. This can create a shock economy. Okay. 6 million Indonesians can lose their job, probably more. Income shock in agriculture sector and manufacturing, of course, because also manufacture, because they actually stop work, and the people don't have job, they don't work, they don't want to work. Especially in the urban situation, I will explain the people in the urban situation like Jakarta, they don't live in Jakarta, they live because study or work. If you don't work or study, you come back in your house. This means a very problem for the big city. Papa probably will more was like 8.7 income loss. It also like had crisis because I mean, I think this the first time in the history of all the world they have that this like people go to hospital. They are like the hospital is full. They don't have the place for cure. It's a very complicated situation about this. Because the government plan, and this like sembako, PKE, kartu prakerjaan. Okay. what the government need to be strong on this pandemic. Probably the percent of the government, the poverty rate in Indonesia will increase between 10% to 10.7% to 11.6%, almost 18 million new poor. The full help of the government would people can come back to the same situation of the before the pandemic in the third semester in income, and in the economy, the poverty rate is the economy rate this year will between 8 and 9. So it's almost the same before the crisis. The rural areas will be reduced to the level slightly than the benchmark. And the most problem for the urban area with the high level population, I think, for example, Bali, because wherever the government make a full help, the shock from the tourism industry, I mean, is tangible. I mean, this is the graphic display. The government responds to limited impact of poor. Household. And this is a new part. In case of several shock scenario, according with the Bangpar, even the full independent shock of support Indonesia, we would like 900 new port. Employment and income shock, 40% can be unemployed, 100%, 41, yeah, 21 in the traditional service and agriculture sector. Almost the new poor reside in the rural area. Okay. The government have the refit package for have the necessary economic shock. I mean, they have like make money for the government, like the plan to give 1,600 rupiah for months after 3 and become 300. This is, I mean, is I think we have just in the short term, and in a situation like Papua where the line poor in Papua is calculated like 52 100 rupiah per day per month, and 300 will go enough. Also for the rest in Indonesia is 400 300. If I think is will very problem. The public that this will not enough is I. And another aspect is the government has a good plan for help, but it's just if you are a regular work or if you are registered. And almost in Indonesia, like 25% Indonesia, they have an insurance. They are in informal work, so they have no registered. They like no. I mean, they don't have a shikur. They don't have say. They cannot take the benefits for the government because they like a black worker. I mean, like this. So they are more like 45%. This one.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Aniello, for your presentation. It's very interesting to see that the picture of poverty in Indonesia actually. So during the COVID is a world crisis. So it's not just only Indonesia that will also face this situation of poverty, but in fact that there's expected there will be like 8 million people will become poor because of this pandemic is actually alarming for the government of Indonesia. So I think the future strategy will be very important for what will government do next to overcome this situation. That in fact the inequality level also still high, and also the middle class is not present. In fact, that Indonesia now is getting the status from the World Bank into the middle upper country, but in fact, this because of this pandemic, it can also like
Come back
can
to Loyal.
also yeah, I mean it. So we can see next what will happen.
Actually, I think no, because I mean it's probably the worst the situation we have in Europe. I think because we are
Mhm.
now a very, I mean Indonesia have the I think opportunity to come back a normal status. I mean maybe for
Mhm.
2 years there are some problems, but the possibility to come back maybe also more high. The economy is very high. I think more to Europe. I think.
Mhm. Thank you so much for your view for the Indonesian economic in the future. But in fact, like we also have this kind of problem that you see that now we are like in the situation like in the middle traps country, since there actually not really significant level of economic development happen in Indonesia since Jokowi's administration actually. So I don't know. You actually also like highlighting a little bit about infrastructure that you think that more soft development, soft infrastructure is actually more fruitful to be built now. I think in Indonesia rather than the hard infrastructures such as the road and so on. You also highlighting about some of the Indonesian current infrastructure development such as to BRI and so on. So I think it's also important. I don't know, it's debatable, so we can discuss it more about that later. Since actually now economic also moved to the new structural economics, so actually they are more like how to say that more agreed with comparative advantage rather than just only talking about the infrastructure. So okay, I think it will be a very good discussion later on the Q&A session. So we will move to the last presenter. So we have, I will welcome to Mr. Haisung Hu. I haven't
Hello.
met you before in the beginning, so it's nice to see you present in this forum. So can you also hi? So this is correct that I pronounce your name is Haisung Hu.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Okay, Mr. Haisung Hu, so you're from Chiang Mai University. So your topic
Yes.
is about heterogeneity and of trade environment and the impact of floating exchange rate system on export enterprises.
Yeah.
So it's also a very important topic. I think you will talk about Chinese enterprises, right? In this situation. Yeah, this actually this floating exchange rate is actually very important on China's economic now, since even though the volatility level is actually very high with using the floating exchange rate rather than the fixed exchange rate, but actually it's kind of a part of success of Chinese economic these days. So without further ado, we will very gladly to hear your presentation. So Mr. Haisung Hu, his time is yours now, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Okay, please wait a moment. Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Can you show my PPT, yeah? Hello?
Yeah, I can see your PPT. Please.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm really glad to take part in this this forum. This is my first time to take part in international forum, so I'm really glad to see you in here. Today, I want to present about one very important things about the Chinese economic and the Chinese trade. But today, presentation is not my paper. It means after my research and the paper study, I want to talk about one very interesting thing about China to development the internal measures for the economics. So if you have some ideas for my paper, please after this meeting you can send to me email. Today I want to talk about the under the epidemic situation, the development of China's store economic. There are 6 parts. Okay, what's the store economic? The suddenly outbreak of the economic with compared with China and the US trade war, and then the Hong Kong issue problems. It has a very serious problem with China's trade, includes the China and the US trade war. My paper was elaborated this point to detail. And now I want to talk about another manifestation of China's socio-economic. This is President Xi Jinping's push for the international and domestic market circles. Developed this problem in order to improve China's internal economic. Okay. Store economic refers to a kind of economic formed by obtaining income series by setting up store. Because of its illegal settings, it's created has marginal economic from in city. The voters had been bidden to keep the cities clean. Their return is expected to help increase people's income and review local economics hit hard by the novel coronavirus outbreak. From this politics, Alibaba, a very big electric plant, and Jingdong second plant just realized the economic assistance plan for grand store. The planner launched the night shopping program in Suning, and the Tencent WeChat permit announced the national small store fair works plan for more than 15 billion small and miracle business on the platform. Economic characters of the store, they have some characters: the low cost, small scale, informal liquidity, low profit. This is no need for business registration, rent, employees, wage and tax. The store owner needs to pay the funds needed to buy wholesale goods and start a business. Low cost determines the cheapness of the store goods. Because of its low cost, store owners can obtain performance without selling goods at high prices, which is also an important reason for the survival of store economic. For the benefits, economic benefits of developing store during epidemic period, it's is convenient for citizens to shop nearly and reduce transportation costs, promoting the employment of law skilled personnel and relieve employment pressures and for the rich city culture driving the development of related industries conducive to promoting entrepreneurship, cutting to the consumption of the low-income class in a favorable supplement to the urban consumption level. Yes, this is the pictures just for this period in China developed very fast. But before this period, most of them closed. The government don't develop this. So for this, a very Japanese, very famous economist expert says that some of the major economic forms are colorful economic modes. But there are so many disadvantages of the store economic affect the performance of the city and higher the traffic. Second is trade to public order. Three is causing environmental pollution. Fourth is quality of goods isn't granted. The fifth is not safety people's rest, study, and work. This is old pictures before last 3 years in China, some small cities. Everywhere you can show this because we have so many farmers, about 10 billions also. Yeah. Okay. Just now, Chinese government want to develop the deep analysis, the deep of the store economics. The end of the internet dividend has made people more and more reveries relying on online can't really store users' consumption pinpoints. Therefore, a new model represented by getting through online and offline began to appear. As a new concept represented by new retail has born under such a background. Compared with established in position of getting through the online and offline, the ground store economic can achieve the following goals. Relatively inexpensive way to contact online and offline. It doesn't need to invest too much cost to create a scene. Only a mobile business place computer things. Looking around the world, many international metropolis have not eliminated the street wonders. No matter in New York, London, Paris, and Rome, there are various forms of self-management, such as peddlers, barriers, night markets, weekend markets, flight markets, and so on. About the development politics of state economic. The first is spanning up urban legislative and readiness of the legitimacy of the store economic. Second is establishment of stores should be staggered with limited time on the road, and the operation would be divided into directors bills on time. Third is stress, health, and self-measurement improves the economic quality of the store. Fourth is stress government guides and promote experience exchange. Okay, thank you very much. It's just to present about very new economic infrastructure for China government to support development for this period. But just now, from the online and the offline, it's get together. So it helps China so many farmers and very old people to save their lives. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Hu, for your presentation.
Okay, thank you.
So basically, the stall economy is very, very important during this pandemic, although actually also we need to do some of the COVID precautions. Actually, is very, very important. But in fact, to boost the consumption, for sure, the stall economic is very important. Since also if you see in Indonesia, is actually also have the similar pattern during the COVID situation. So I don't know about your opinion, but I think Chinese economy is very rooted on some of local economic development. Like if I can mention, like TV is like TV is also actually very important, has a very important role during the economic development of China. That in fact is not only talking about the export or even the state-owned enterprises, but actually the village also have their own reform that in fact build a lot. I mean, they donate a lot on Chinese economic development in the past of 30 years. So I think it's very important to push this kind of economic. But however, since I can see, I don't know the situation in China, but the last time I saw on TV about the situation in Wuhan now is even like they already get some of the music festival and so on. So I think it's very very kind of it's a very not high degree of the risks in the COVID situation in China now, but I cannot compare in the Indonesia situation. The last time World Bank also already like mentioned in Jakarta, there's 70% of the bed sheet already occupied in the hospital. So I think the stall economy is definitely very important. Like if you see the Indonesian economy is actually also built by the very small enterprises that it's very contribute a lot in the economy. But then like now in the pandemic situation is kind of not that easy. In fact, we still have to do also the precaution things. But yeah, still it is very important and for sure to boost the consumption. Thank you for your nice presentation. It's for very important topic too on the mobility of people and also the economic development. So we will proceed to the next session, which is the question and answers. So we already have some of the question in the chat box. I will take a look one by one, since it's not that many of them, so we can try to address one by one. So the first question is to Mr. Nopriadi from Mr. Rido Takwa from Unsri Palembang. So his question is, what are the recommendations of your research for education providers in order to address the financial health problems of parents of students? So Mr. Nopriadi, maybe you can answer this question first, and then we will move to the other questions. Mr. Nopriadi, are you here? Okay, so I don't know if Mr. Nopriadi here or not. Maybe you can unmute your microphone if you're here. All right. So since I cannot hear anything from Mr. Nopriadi, so we can move to the next question first. Now is from Mr. Nopriadi, actually his question. So I will save this question later. Maybe Mr. Nopriadi wants to hear the answer for sure. So I will try to move to the other questions. So this from Mr. Muhammad to Miss Nenden Budiarti. So in Indonesia, the retirement or pension age of worker is actually generally 60 years, right? So the question is why you don't investigate these people over 60 years old rather than you investigate for the 50 years old. Okay, Miss Nenden, time is yours to answer.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear my voice clearly?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay. Actually, why I choose the 50 years rather than 60 years? It's actually I use from the FLS data. We have data about retirement section. It's limited by 50 years. So I try to use that data to conduct the research, to conduct the investigation for the labor force participation of the elderly in Indonesia. That's why I choose the 50 years. But maybe it's because we in Indonesia we have no standard retirement age. Actually, different retirement age in I mean in that in labor force. So it some in other job we have 50 or and then 55, then 60. So I just the 50 years old to conduct the research in this labor force participation. That's why I just the 50 years to accommodate all the job in Indonesia. I mean, that's why I choose 50 years.
All right, Mr. Muhammad Fatul Muin, do you still have any question or comment related to Ms. Nenden answers? So it's actually related to the existence of the data set, right? So so it's limited her study, so that's why she cannot like adjust her study into the 60 years or over.
Okay, thank you. I can understand it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So now the next question is for Mr. Anielo. So Mr. Muhammad Fatul Muin also have the question for you. So he asks, today almost all statistical offices of the country use monetary poverty to measure poverty itself. Even though recently the multi-dimensional poverty much discussed as a precise tool. In your opinion, why have so many statistical offices not moved yet to the multi-dimensional poverty? Why not move to the multi-dimensional poverty concept rather than using the monetary poverty measurement? Can you get my question, Mr. Anielo?
No, actually not. Can you repeat?
Oh, okay. I will try to repeat. So basically, Mr. Muhammad asking you, nowadays there are so many of statistical offices of the country. They measure the poverty using the monetary poverty instead of the multidimensional poverty concept. So in your opinion, why so many statistical offices nowadays not move to the multidimensional poverty concept rather than still using the monetary poverty concept to measure the poverty? Did you get it?
Sorry, yeah, I get it. Firstly, I know statistics, so I don't know, but I think it's the same. My opinion is the same for calculate the foresee the level of democracy. For example, the foresee if a country have status of democracy, they have some point. So I think the same. They use the same basic point for see if the rate of the poverty is good or not. It's just a basic state. I think. I don't actually I don't know because I don't know why the statistics don't move for multidimensional approach because I'm not statistic actually I don't know but I think because they need some basic regulation for understand the poverty. I think I don't know I get the answer or not.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Anielo. Mr. Muhammad Fatul Muin, you still have any question related Mr. Anielo's answers?
Yes, it's okay. I also just curious why about this concept isn't used for Malconstre, but it's okay.
All right. Thank you. So maybe I will add a little bit. So probably because now there's no standard concept of the poverty when you're talking about the multi-dimensional poverty. So maybe because it's not like something that.
Did it then why I use multidimensional in my paper? This was focused on Indonesia. I mean, this was the 3 step for Indonesia status of not in the world, not in the concept word poverty in the Indonesia state. I mean, the multidimensional poverty, for example, I think is like sorry. So like I mean the poverty in Italy is not poverty in Indonesia. For example, no, if I make a basic example, in Italy the poor people are I think 100% have the washing machine. Okay, every day still poor. They have washing machine. They have a good table for cook. In Indonesian, the people poor don't have washing machine, so they are considered poor. I mean, this the more I think the multi dimension on the poverty. You cannot use one static one rules for classification all the poverties in the world. I think all have different type of democracy. It depends on your well beginnings in the country and the situation. I think.
Okay. Thank you so much for your additional explanation, Mr. Anielo. I hope it's enough for Mr. Muhammad Fatul Muin based on his explanation. So let's move to the next question. We have Miss Anna Nurjana to Mr. Hui Seng Hu. So Mr.
Yeah.
Anna is from Department of Communication Studies of Gadjah Mada University. She asks, the Chinese government have specific regulation to manage this stall economy? And what are your future recommendations to do on future research? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. At present, the Chinese government has no law to promote the stall economic. Before the outbreak, the Chinese government didn't support to development of this economic. So confidence everywhere in China, in the small cities, from the farmers and the cities management. Everywhere you can find the conflicts. I think that the still economic should be development in China, and the government should support and regulate, because China is a developing country, not a developed country, and we still have 300 million people with a monthly income of less than 1,000 yuan, and we have so many people very poor. They just like want to save, want to live, want to have hard work. But for the Chinese people's emotion, we always don't like to leave home. Just like to stay in home. However, I'm so poor, but I like to stay in my home. For my research, I want to, in the future, I want to, yes, at the beginning, the professor gave me a very interesting ideas. Compare with Indonesia, I think, yes, I can do some comparison with other countries. With Indonesia, with Japan, get together is very interesting to research. But just now in China, no date, no anything to support this, to serve this program. For the outbreak, Chinese government and Chinese very big plan, very big plan for Alibaba, Taobao. They just have so many politics to support this. Yeah, I'm really glad to heard about this politics. Thank you.
And how about the recommendation, the future recommendation that you think will be good for on your future research? Mr. Hui Sung Hu, are you with me?
Hey, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, she asked also about what your recommendation for the future research.
For the future research, three steps. The first step is to interview about first for the government and the farmers and the businessmen, from the politics, from the economic development, from the management, city management, to interview. The first. The second is compare and study about some very good ways from the other countries. The second is from the data and analysis, the gap of this economic improved and promote how many GDPs and serve so many how many people work and so on. From this step to research, the first point. The second point is about to connect with the university and the infrastructure to get some practice to solve this problem for the government worried and for the farmers worried. The second point. The third point is that to study for the lecture and ask some experts to hear about their ideas about to save. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Huiseng. Mr. Haiseng, I'm sorry. So
yeah.
There's one more question regarding your presentation.
Yes. Is there
So
any debate?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
wait a minute. So from Miss Dinda Primazeira, so she asks you if there is any debate covering informality of stall economy in China. So do you
Yes.
think?
Yes, there is a lot of controversy. I think it's a different opinion from the different classes. For the elite, they need the city very safe and very clean and very comfortable. But for the farmers and workers, they need to work, need to live, need to feed their children. So they think that we need to develop this traditional economic and yes, and provide for their life. So this is this is a very controversy problem in China. Every small city, every big city have this problem.
I think it's everyone's problem, right?
Yeah.
All right. So Miss okay, Miss Dinda, if you still have any question, we can go back to you again later on if we still have time. So because we have less than 15 minutes now to end our session. Okay, very clear. Thank you so much, Miss Dinda. So don't worry, Mr. Nopriadi, I'll save your questions, so don't worry. So I will give you time now to answer. So the first question for Mr. Nopriadi, coming from Mr. Rido Takwa from Unsri Palembang. So his question is, what are the recommendations of your research for education providers in order to address the financial health problems of parents and students?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rido, for the question. Yeah, my study focus on personal resilience of educators. Not answer your question, but my other research in family resilience can answer your question. So in my another research about the family resilience, that family resilience is influenced by parenting quality, by psychological maturity of the parent, by the personal financial management, and by the awareness of Islamic law for the Muslim family. So my suggestion for improvement the resilience of family in the face of financial crisis related to COVID-19, the more important is how to learn manage their financial first and improve the program for preparation for the new family, for the new couple who want to make a family. They should understand that family will face many challenges in the crisis. That's I can suggestion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nopriadi, for your answers. You still have one more question from Miss Dinda. I hope your answer is quite. I mean, it's fine to for I forget the who asked the question. I'm sorry. So I hope it's all right for you. We can go back later on if we still have time. So the next question for Mr. Nopriadi is from Miss Dinda. Miss Dinda asks you regarding to the research, which one is more important and urgent, improving financial literacy or stakeholder engagement?
Okay. What? Sorry, the question.
So the question is, which one is more important and urgent, improving financial literacy or stakeholder engagement?
The enrichment from the family or from the educators? I cannot get the idea from the question.
Okay.
Stakeholder
So
of the educator or stakeholder of the school?
So actually, it's not really clear here.
Yes.
he haven't mentioned about that. So maybe you can try to explain in the both
Okay.
perspective.
Okay, from my perspective, is that financial is fundamental, like a domino effect. If the someone bad in the financial health will influence the mental health. If the mental health is broken, the physical health is too broken. So the first domino is financial health. For the facing the crisis, we should strengthen the financial health in order we can maintain mental health and physical health. So if this health good will support our personal resilience, and we know that the educators is the influencer in our society. When World War Second, Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki is bombed, the Kaiser Hirohito is looking for the teacher, not the entrepreneur, not engineer, looking for the teacher, because the teacher is a core role to generate the hope of the people, so they can be strong, face the stressful or disaster. After overall is passed, they can grow and better life. That's all my question.
Okay, thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
answer, Mr. Nobriadi. Is it quite clear for you, Miss Dinda, the question? We still have 5 minutes left actually to close the session. So if there's still, all right, yeah, I will do it. So we will have a photo session in the end. So please don't leave for all the presenter and participant before we close the session. So we still have 5 minutes left actually. So if there is still someone that want to confirm about the previous question or another question, so we still can try to accommodate it. Okay, I think there's no more question about our discussion today. So I think we will close today's discussion and presentation, and we will have the photo session at the end. Before I close, I would like to say thank you so much for every presenters that present their paper today, and also for the participants who are actively involved in the discussions. It's a very fruitful forum, and also opportunity for us to share our knowledge, and also to get another feedback from others people that have the same concern on this topic. So it's actually very interesting and also very fruitful. So I hope that we can make also the same opportunity in the future. So this is very interesting topic related to the population, economic development, and future mobility. So at first we have the something that more local. We have Kampung Jawi that actually have a very important effect on the local economy. That actually, when we try to linking with the poverty level, like what Mr. Aniello said, then we try to refer to Esther Duflo, Banerjee, and also Kramer, that actually nowadays poverty, there's no single recipe. Then when we will try to alleviate from a country, so there's many of the proof from the research that actually using something that more local base is actually something that perhaps will be more benefited for a country to overcome the poverty situation. So many researchers over the world is actually very hopefully will be joining in this movement. And then the second one is actually also kind of concern to the crisis nowadays about the COVID situation. We have about the situation of educators and about their resilience, that in fact the mental health is actually very important, and also the financial health is also very important for educators, so that they can they have the personal resiliency during the COVID situation. And then also we have the labor force participation in the individual of age 50 years in the Indonesian economic is actually very concerning on the aging population. That in fact Indonesia now maybe is not that close to achieve the aging society, since in 2030 we will have the economic dividend by the demographic bonus. So but in fact this is very important, so because we see there's many of the situation of age people who are overly 15 years now is like less productive. So I think it's also burdensome for them and also for the government as well. So I think it also needs to discuss how to address the problem. And the last one, we're talking about the Chinese economic during the COVID situation, that actually the stall economy that's coming from the local enterprises is something that very fruitful during the pandemic situation to boost the consumption, so that the economy still can run during this situation of crisis. So this is actually 5 paper that's very interesting and very knowledgeable to discuss. It's very gladly for me. I'm so delighted to be here to moderate the discussion. So I welcome you all, the presenters, to come again to the next symposium. So for this conclusion, I cannot conclude actually, but I try to summarize each of the paper. I will close the panel. So wait a minute. So from now on, I will close the discussion, also the panel, for the second symposium on social science that organized by the Center of Southeast Asian Studies, Universitas Gadjah Mada. So I would love to see you in the next forum, and also gladly will see you again in the next year, hopefully, or in the other place, and hopefully there will be another collaboration after this. It will be glad if you still can have connect into each other. So if there is another participant that still want to ask a question, you can just drop the question and we will address the question into the presenters. Okay, thank you so much. I'll see you again, hopefully, and good afternoon. And now we will have a photo session. I will make into the gallery view now, and please the other participant, if you are not in the online in your video, please join us. So for everyone, like if you want to take a screenshot, I will welcome you to do so. So okay, 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you so much for today. I wish you a good day, and I wish you good luck for your near future. Okay, see you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.